Hare Krishna, good evening and welcome all of you all for this Saturday evening Bhagavatam class. So we have completed 1.4. First Canto 4 chapter we have completed. So we start from the 5th chapter from today. So let's start the fifth chapter. So the Goswami said, four last one thing we completed 4 chapter full. आपने बंक किया था? नहीं 4 complete किया. That was only questions asked by Sutta Goswami. Shaunakadi rishis are asking the questions to Sutta Goswami, and there Sutta Goswami was explaining everything, कि by how the Vedas were divided. Paila Rishi was given this and Angira Rishi was given Atharva Veda, and all the Vedas were distributed among to the various sages, and jo baki jo bacha tha wo Puranas and his thing were given to Romaharsha, his father. That was all described in that. So here is the main Narada instructing Vyasdev. That is most important, very important chapter. And this is the actual crux why Bhagavatam was written. Bhagavatam क्यों लिखा गया इस चैप्टर में आपको पता चलेगा, नहीं तो आपको पता भी नहीं चलेगा कि भागवतम क्यों लिखा गया था. What was the purpose behind writing the Bhagavatam? So Sutta Goswami said, thus the sages among the god Narada, comfortably seated and apparently smilingly, addressed the rishi among the Brahmanas. We have to understand that earlier itself Vyasdev was sitting with quite displeasure after having divided the Vedas into so many sections, then writing the Itihasas, Puranas, everything. Still after that he was quite unsatisfied. And when he was unsatisfied, when a person is unsatisfied, he is supposed to think of whom? Not Google. He is supposed to think about spiritual master. The spiritual master should be called. And then the spiritual master comes. What the spiritual master, how he behaves, how he handles the situation, that is also worth learning and understanding from this chapter. Here, there is a small purport, but a very beautiful purport. Narada was smiling because he well knew the great sage Vyasadeva and the cause of his disappointment. He knew his sage. Every teacher knows his student very well, and knows his student very well, and he was smiling, the reason of his disappointment. But this is how actually a spiritual master is. He waits for the student to come ahead with his problem or his confusion. जब तक स्टूडेंट बोलता नहीं, ठीक. Even Krishna did the same thing in Mahabharata, coolly listening when this fellow was saying, and then finally he says, I am surrendered. Here also the spiritual master waits for him to surrender, and then he speaks. As he will explain gradually, Vyasadev's disappointment was due to insufficiency in presenting the science of devotional service. Narada knew the defect, and it was confirmed by the position of Vyasa. After addressing Vyasadev, the son of Parashara, Narada inquired, are you satisfied by identifying this body or the mind as the object of self-realization? Now, why is this question asked, and what is the purpose behind asking this question? We have to understand this from this purport. Anyone can read the purport? Read.
This was a hint by Narada to Vyasadeva regarding the cause of his despondency. Vyasadeva, as the descendant of Parasara, a greatly powerful sage, had the privilege of having a great parentage which should not have given Vyasadeva cause for despondency. Being a great son of a great father, he should not have identified the self with the body or the mind. Ordinary men with a poor fund of knowledge can identify the body as self or the mind as self, But Vyasadeva should not have done so. One cannot be cheerful by nature unless one is factually seated in self-realization, which is transcendental to the material body and mind.
Srila Prabhupada says very nicely, how come people enjoy, or no, they can take enjoyment in drinking, in smoking, in gambling, in illicit sex, in meat eating. How come people can get enjoyment? Today, if you see, the major chunk of the entire human race is only finding happiness in this. What is the purpose? उसके पीछे कारण क्या है? Why? How come you're eating a dead body? You're drinking something horrible. You're doing all this sort of nonsense. But still, a so-called pleasure is there. Why? What is that so-called pleasure? Why you're coming? You'll become like this, Teda. Come this side a little. Jigar, you also come a little this side. Yeah. तो इंद्र तृप्ति में क्यों? हाउ कम इंद्र तृप्ति के लिए? Why? How come we get happiness?
Because they identify themselves with the body.
They are not well guided. Spiritual master.
Who? Karmi sir, कहाँ? Karmi से what a spiritual master. वो अपने को प्रवचन देके जाएगा वो. Then नहीं, that's not the case. Hey, those who have spiritual master also take enjoyment in worldly things too. Those who have a spiritual master, they also take कहीं ना कहीं थोड़ा बहुत तो मजा ले ही लेते हैं ना. Why? What is the reason? Yes, Shweta will answer. She's got a bright smile. She knows. बोलिए माता जी. Fast.
Because they don't have a knowledge of body and soul. They think that जो है मतलब you have explained before.
Agreed. They don't have the body of the knowledge of the soul and the body. Agreed. The most important thing is
the greater pleasure, मतलब soul के.
No.
They are influenced under Maya.
They are influenced under.
Maya.
No. That's all secondary.
It's a Mritrishna, Prabhuji, which is never satisfied.
No.
They take the shelter of Tamokun to enjoy.
No. That you have to take the shelter to enjoy that. But why? Why they find happiness in drinking? See, Prabhupada is addressing this way back in the 70s. Okay. Late 60s and early 70s is addressing. He's saying you go and earn so many thousands and lakhs of dollars. Right from morning to night you slog. Because it is all a big waste. And you have done a big shrama. And to forget that pain, to forget that shrama, you take into all these type of, because it's a criminal wastage of time. You are not happy, you are sad. It's simple example एक देता हूँ. नारियल अगर कच्चा रहे ना तो कैसा रहता है? एकदम पानी रहता है. एकदम कच्चा रहे तो उससे पानी रहता है. थोड़ा पक जाता है तो नारियल और उसका शेल, मगर दोनों कैसा रहता है? चिपका रहता है. अब तभी उसको उखाड़ना बोला तो इट टेक्स लॉट ऑफ प्रेशर. आई थिंक इट इज पेनफुल टू सेपरेट इट ऑफ. बट उसी को अगर थोड़ा पकने दिया जाए, आफ्टर अ फ्यू डेज यू कैन, इफ आई डोंट नो हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव नोटिस्ड दैट इन द होल कोकोनट comes totally separate from the shell. Literally it rocks inside. It rocks inside. So what is the difference? We think we are the body. It is attached, but technically it is separate. Like the coconut, which is like the soul, and the shell is considered to be the body. Apparently in the starting period, both are identified to be, like chipke ek dusre ke sath. But in due course of time, when it matures, here this we can say when one matures in devotion service, then he identifies himself as the soul. Then his requirements, the minute you actually, I am telling you, the minute one identifies himself as the soul, his requirement drops down by 50%. You can try it out. your requirement will just drop by 50%. The reason is, what is your requirement for the soul? Only for the body, for ego, for your show off and all that. You need a branded clothes, branded shoe, branded car, everything, big posh. But as a soul, there is no requirement. You are happy with a simple meal, you are happy with a simple car, you are happy with a simple thing. It's all your purpose, that's all. But when it comes to world-mindedness, then there is a problem. And that is one of the biggest problem in general people are suffering. Now why we have to understand this problem of people in general? Because the further verses is going to talk with the reference to this. So hum log generally we are happy doing these type of sense gratification because we are in so much of pain. It is all the work and all the money which we have earned is not giving us happiness. So it is like, people generally, why, if you ask anyone, let's enjoy, immediately what does he say or talk of? Let's go and have liquor, let's party with liquor. So what does this mean? He wants a painkiller. Only in that forgetfulness one can imagine or think to be happy. When you are conscious, you know you are miserable. Who is not miserable in this world? Everyone is miserable. Everyone is miserable because life itself is a big miserable problem. We realize, life is horrible, get up in the morning, work, slog like a donkey, and in the work also there is no appreciation, there is only firing and this and that, house people don't appreciate, outsiders don't appreciate, everyone has the same similar story, just woven in a different style, that's all. चीज़ तो वही है, मतलब बोलते हैं पैकिंग अलग अलग है, सबका पैकिंग अलग है, प्रॉब्लम सबका है. And to forget this, it takes over to intoxication, gambling, illicit sex, and all these things, thinking that it is going to give him pleasure. Some people like to be always drunk, always they want to be in painkillers. All these so-called material happiness are painkillers because they are going to make your senses dull or inactive for some time. But rest, when you come back to your senses, you come back to the actual worldly pains which is always there. That's why a drunkard, when he drinks in the night, he forgets, he has fought with someone or he has some problem. The next day morning, again he is sad, waiting for the evening when he is free from the office, and again he can pump in something more. This is the same thing again and again and again people are doing. So this is what one cannot be cheerful by nature unless one factually seated in self-realization, which is transcendental to the material body and mind. One can never be happy with respect to body and mind. That is why he asks a very specific question. Narad Muni is asking a very question. Sharira Atma Manasaha. What is he asking? Sharira Atma Manasa Evava. What is he asking? By body and by mind, are you happy? And not only he, whatever he writes, see, whatever the writer himself is, will be penned down. That's for sure. That's why addressing Vyasadeva, very important word he is saying, son of Parashara. Why he says, Are, itna bada baap ka aulad hai tu? You are not a small Tom, Dick and Harry, you are a son of great Parashara. So you have to be full with knowledge and despondency. And Narada inquired, are you satisfied by identifying this body or the mind as object of self-realization? So generally हम लोग क्या करते हैं? We try to identify this body or this mind as object of self-realization. And both can never be made happy. Mind तो पूछो मत. Mind is always, सदा अनुविघ्न रहता है mind. Always. And if at all one is happy, so to say happy, he is happy in the sense, उसको अभी फिलहाल दो प्रॉब्लम के बीच का जो गैप है उसी को वो हैप्पीनेस समझता है. हैप्पीनेस नहीं है, प्रॉब्लम फिलहाल नहीं है, बस उसको यही है. हाँ, प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. एंड तो बहुत देर प्रॉब्लम नहीं है तो वो भी टेंशन आता है, प्रॉब्लम क्यों नहीं है. इट्स अ फैक्ट. किसी को प्रॉब्लम थोड़ी देर क्या, कुछ तो समथिंग इज गोइंग रॉन्ग. एम आई फॉरगेटिंग माई प्रॉब्लम? हैव आई नॉट फोकस्ड ऑन माई प्रॉब्लम? इट्स ह्यूमन, इट्स बट नेचुरल. Your inquiries were full and your studies were also fulfilled, and there is no doubt that you have prepared a great wonderful work, the Mahabharata, which is full of all kinds of Vedic sequence elaborately explained. It is said that one who reads the Mahabharata doesn't have to get any other knowledge. महाभारत में पूरा ज्ञान आ गया है. बस भगवद गीता इज अ पार्ट ऑफ महाभारत, एंड महाभारत में सब ज्ञान आ गया है. उसमें इट हैज टॉक्ड अबाउट हाउ अ पर्सन कैन गेट मोर बल बाय जस्ट फॉलोइंग धर्म ऑल्सो. बहुत खूबसूरत कहानी है महाभारत में. Once one sadhu was sitting under the tree and was doing a lot of तपस्या. काफ़ी दिनों से तपस्या कर रहा था, तो पेड़ के नीचे बैठा था. तो ऊपर एक पक्षी ने तबक पॉटी कर दिया उसके ऊपर, गिरा उस साधु के ऊपर. साधु वॉज वेरी एंग्री. ऐसे घूम के देखा कौन है वो पक्षी, कौन है, एंड ही सॉ दैट वाज वन बर्ड सिटिंग देयर. घूर के देखा, इट जस्ट बर्न्ड टू एशेस. ही इज वंडरिंग, अरे मेरे अंदर पावर कहाँ से आया क्या? He himself was shocked. From where did he get the power? Just by looking at the bird got burnt. So immediately after that, as usual, he went for his madhukari, begging alms. तो एक घर पे गया, तो ओम भवती भिक्षान दे ही पूछा उसने. तो लेडी बोली रुकिए, आने को टाइम लगेगा, रुकिए. एंड शी वॉज सर्विंग हर in-laws, her mother-in-law and father-in-law. It will take time for her to come. She was pressing her leg. So उसका सेवा करके, नहीं सॉरी, she was feeding her, खाना दे रही थी, खाना फीड करके बाहर आई, and she got the whatever was to be given. And that sadhu with angry eyes was looking at her, like rolling eyes, करके. तो the lady said, "Don't think I am that bird, huh? You can burn me like that bird." The lady said that. Don't think I am like that bird. You can, by your angry eyes, I am not going to get burnt like that bird. Sadhu was wondering कि क्या हो रहा है आज मेरे साथ. First and foremost, bird got burnt, and how come this lady came to know? See, he asked. He lost all his ego. बोला, मैडम बताओ मेरे को कैसे आपको पैसा पता चला कि मेरे देखने से वो पक्षी भस्म हो गया और आपको पैसा पता चला? ये तो जंगल में हुआ था. You want to know? Go to the next village and meet a butcher. What did she say? Go to the next village and meet the butcher. Sadhu going and meeting a butcher. So ठीक है. So he went to the next village. वो butcher का दुकान पे जाके खड़ा हुआ, देखा बाबा खड़ा है, ये छक ढक काट रहा है अपना. butcher है ना, काट रहा है. He just looked at her. So I think that lady has sent you. So क्या syndicate है? He got a shock of his life. Oh no, that lady must have sent you. Okay, go and sit inside. I'll come. I'll finish my work and come. Continued his work, and lunch time हो गया, दुकान बंद किया, what it is. He came and he asked, "How come you all know?" And he knew everything. And none of them are sadhus. He is only so-called sadhu, sage. Rest are all just living. I mean, बहू बोलो या housewife बोलो. There is a butcher by saying, how can he get this divine powers? That time, what actually Vyasadeva is trying to explain in Mahabharata in that sequence is, if one follows his swadharma, if just bahu follows her swadharma of a bahu, the butcher used to take care, very nice care of his parents. Whatever his business was, he was to doing his dharma very nicely. And just by doing his dharma, he got all this siddhis. these siddhis can be obtained just by following your dharma properly or seriously, one can achieve. So what I'm trying to make over here is, please understand, however a person may be, or whatever profession he may be, I'm not talking that you are start doing like this tomorrow. We're just waiting for such a message. Mala parked in the parking lot. We are not going to chant. We're just going to do what is done in the Mahabharata. No, these are all special cases. We are not those special cases. We are the most common cases. So, these special cases ke liye. But the point what I'm trying to say is, that's the greatness of the work of Mahabharata. Every inch, every turn of Mahabharata has a message for us. And if one understands the Mahabharata with the full depth of it, then there is no more knowledge required. It is fully equipped with full knowledge. There are many stories in Mahabharata, not just one story, many stories in Mahabharata which will give us lot and lot of knowledge. So that's why, first thing, the spiritual master, what does he do? He praises the work done by any student does little effort should be praised. And that's what Narad Muni does first to. He didn't say, hey, you're useless, I know you're fit for nothing. He didn't start like that. He said, whatever done is good, because his intention behind the work is more important than the work. Work may sometimes be good, sometimes may be perfect, sometimes may be imperfect. But the intention behind it should be more focused and most perfect. So he says, your inquiries are full and your studies were also well fulfilled, and there is no doubt that you have prepared a great and wonderful work, the Mahabharata, which is full of all kinds of Vedic sequels, elaborately explained. You have fully delineated the subject of impersonal Brahman as well as the knowledge derived therefrom. Why should you be despondent in spite of all this, thinking that you are undone, my dear Prabhu? This is the first time where you have to understand the word Prabhu is used by Narad Muni itself. Huh? So don't think हम लोग अगर एक दूसरे को प्रभु जी बुला रहे हैं तो it's something unique. Srimad Bhagavatam has this mentioned. The last word is Prabhu. Let's see this. Yinasitam Adihitam Adihitam cha Brahma Yat Sanatanam Tadapi Sochayati. Sochayanti means lamenting. Na sochati na kankshati bolte na. Sochanti Atmanam Akrit Arthaha Ivo Prabhu. You are the my dear sir. That is what Srila Prabhupada gives a translation as my dear sir. But actually we refer each, that's why we refer each one as Prabhu. And here he says, again he is praising. You have fully delineated the subject of impersonal Brahman as well as the knowledge derived therefrom. You have very perfectly mentioned everything. Why should you be despondent in subject of all these, thinking you are undone, my dear Prabhu? So why are you still sad? In spite of doing such a nice work, because he wants Vyasadev to come out with this question. जब तक व्यासदेव सवाल नहीं पूछेंगे, वाह बेटा तूने बढ़िया काम किया. Now Vyasadeva says, Asyevam te sarvam idam tvayakto tadapi na atma परितुष्यते में. तुष्यता नहीं है मेरे अंदर. इतना सब करने के बाद भी आई एम नॉट तुष्य. तुष्य मीन्स satisfied. Paritusyate. Paritusyate means here the meaning is does satisfied. See, what does he say? Tan moolam avyaktam agada bodham prachaham tvam bhav atma bhutam. Same prachami tvam dharma samudha chetasa, he says there, and here also he says prachaham, do inquire. Can you see this? He has clearly put this question. I don't know, you tell me. Usually people come with the switch master, you don't know, I will tell you. This is the modern trend. This is the modern trend. And Singh also has to, हाँ, बराबर बोल रहे हो, है ना? बोलना पड़ता है ना? कॉपी करना पड़ता है कभी. This is Kali Yuga, bro. This is Kali Yuga. So, Vyasadeva said, all you have said about me is perfectly correct. Because Guru can never be wrong. First thing, you should not say, नहीं, आप बहुत चढ़ा रहे मेरे को चने के छड़ पे. You should not say that. You should not say that. नहीं, मैंने वैसा कुछ किया नहीं. Whatever the Guru says, he calls you an intelligent person, that's also his mercy. He calls you a fool, that's also his mercy. So one should always be having a clear understanding that whatever the spiritual master says is correct. Because there is a reason behind his saying. He says, all you have said about me is perfectly correct. Despite all this, I am not paritushyata, I am not satisfied, I am not pacified. I therefore question you about the root cause of this my dissatisfaction. That is, agad bodham, where is it? व्यासुवाच अस्ति एव मे सर्वम इदम तव्या उक्तम तदापि न आत्म परितुष्यते मे तत् मूलम रूट कॉज. द वर्ड इज मूलम. मूल बोलते हैं झाड़ पेड़ का मूल बोलते हैं मूलम, रूट कॉज. अव्यक्तम, अनडिटेक्टेड. अव्यक्तम मतलब व्यक्त नहीं है, अव्यक्त है, दिख नहीं रहा है मुझे. अव्यक्त नहीं है, अव्यक्त है, व्यक्त नहीं है. मुझे मालूम पड़ जाए तो फिर मैं गुरु को क्यों पूछूं? मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा. तो उसका रूट कॉज ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम अव्यक्तम अगाध बोधम, मैन ऑफ लिमिटेड नॉलेज. आई एम अ मैन ऑफ लिमिटेड नॉलेज. Oh, sorry, unlimited knowledge. You are a man of knowledge. I am having so much of knowledge, but still I am agad bodham. Prachame, I am asking you. Tva atma bhava atma bhutam. Atma bhava atma bhutam. This is how he is questioning. So he is again, let's read the translation. All you have said about me is perfectly correct. Despite all this, I am not pacified. I therefore question you about the root cause of my dissatisfaction. You are a man of unlimited knowledge due to you being the offspring of one, Brahma, who is self-born. आप कोई भौतिक मेल एंड फीमेल यूनियन से पैदा नहीं हुए. You are born from the man of Brahma ji. So that is why without a mundane mother and father you are born. Please read the purport.
In the material world, everyone is engrossed with the idea of identifying the body or the mind with self. As such, all knowledge disseminated in the material world is related either with the body or with the mind, and that is the root cause of all dependencies. This is not always detected, even though one may be the greatest erudite scholar in materialistic knowledge. It is good, therefore, to approach personality like Narada to solve the root cause of all dependencies. Why Narada should be approached is explained below.
So why Narada is approached is given in the next verse. My Lord, everything that is mysterious is known to you because you worship the creator and destroyer of the material world and the maintainer of the spiritual world, the original personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to the three modes of material nature. Samasta Guhyam, this is the most important word in this verse. Samasta Guhyam. In all inclusive, कॉन्फिडेंशियल, गुह्यम मतलब सीक्रेट, सबको पता नहीं है और ये आपको पता है. दिस इज वॉट व्यासदेव इज सेइंग, माई लॉर्ड एवरीथिंग दैट इज मिस्टीरियस इज नोन टू यू. हर कोई गुप्त चीज है वो आपको पता है, उसके पीछे का कारण आपको पता है. is known to you because you worship the creator and the destroyer of the material world. Creator is Brahmaji, destroyer is Shivaji, and the maintainer of the spiritual world, who is the original personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to the three modes of material nature. तो आप तीनों को पर्सनली जानते हो, तीनों का भजन करते हो, तीनों का पूजा करते हो और आपसे कोई भी चीज़ गुह्यम, कोई भी गुह्य चीज़ छुपी हुई नहीं है. नथिंग इज हिडन फ्रॉम यू. तो आप बताइए मेरे को. सो दिस इज व्हाट नारद मुनि इज टेलिंग, सॉरी व्यासदेव इज टेलिंग नारद मुनि. प्लीज रीड द पर्पट. दिस होल चैप्टर इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. प्लीज रीड.
Person who is 10% engaged in the service of the Lord is the emblem of all knowledge. Such a devotee of the Lord in full perfection of devotional service is also perfect by the qualification of the personality of Godhead. As such, the eightfold perfections of mystic power, Ashtasiddhi, constitute very little of his godly opulence. A devotee like Narada can act wonderfully by his spiritual perfection, which every individual is trying to attain. Srila Narad is a 10% perfect living being, although not equal to the personality of Godhead.
A person who is known to God is as equal to God. So, please understand this. People generally run behind the Ashtasiddhis. What are the Ashtasiddhis, Mataji? You are not in this world, right? You are in the transcendental world, I think. What are the Ashtasiddhis? Aniva, Lagima, Prapti, Vashikaran and all that has all comes under the Ashtasiddhi. And Ashtasiddhi ka Hanuman ji. Ashtasiddhi now Nadi ke Datha. So he is a all-in-one who has got all the Ashtasiddhis. So a devotee of the Lord automatically gets the Ashtasiddhis. One who is sincerely devoted to God automatically. That's why here Narada always chanting Narayan, Narayan. He gets the Ashtasiddhis. Hanumanji gets the Ashtasiddhis because they are serving the Lord. So one who serves the Lord will get Ashtasiddhi. That is why he is saying indirectly, he is mentioning this word. You are, all the mysterious are known to you. Whatever is mysterious is known to you. And since you are the worshipper of all these, तो ये जो वर्शिप करता है व्यक्ति को अपने आप अंतर्यामी बोलते हैं ना, अंतर्यामी हूँ, मैं आपका मन का बात जान लेता हूँ, उस तरह नारद मुनि ऑलमोस्ट दिस ही गेट्स द पावर, ऑटोमेटिकली ही गेट्स द पावर. Like the sun, your goodness can travel everywhere in all the three worlds. Like the air, you can penetrate the inner region of everyone. As such, you are as good as all pervasive super soul. Please therefore find out the deficiency in me. मेरे अंदर क्या deficiency है? What is the deficiency in me? Despite my being absorbed in transcendence under disciplinary regulative vows. One has to know what are the rules and regulations. Everything he knows. Then find out. He is saying, you find out the deficiency in me. That's why he says, Nuyanam alam vikshaye. Vikshaye मतलब ढूंढो. आप उधर ही बैठो आप. Vikshaye, search. विक्षय मतलब ढूंढ के बताओ. विक्षय का अनदर मीनिंग इज ढूंढ के बताओ. सो ही सेज न्यूयानाम मीन्स व्हाट डेफिशिएंसी इज देयर इनसाइड मी. क्लियरली अलार्म विक्षये, प्लीज टेल मी, बिकॉज आई एम नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज दिस प्रॉब्लम, व्हाई आई एम सैड. अगर नारद व्यासदेव को अपना प्रॉब्लम पता चल जाता, क्योंकि उसने सब मेंशन किया वेदास में. द वेदास आर ऑल फुलफिल्ड. एवरीथिंग इज मेंशन इन द वेदास. एवरीथिंग इज मेंशन इन महाभारत ऑल्सो. एवरीथिंग इज मेंशन इन ऑल द पुराणास. बट देन उसका एक डिफिशियंसी है, ये अब नारद मुनि बताएंगे अपने को. This is the most important crux verse of this chapter. Shri Narada Vacha. This is the word most important thing. You have not actually broadcasted the sublime and spotless glories of the personality of Godhead. That philosophy which does not satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord is considered worthless. मतलब all your Vedas are worthless, all your Puranas are worthless, everything is worthless. Bhavata anudita prayam, very important. Bhavata anudita prayam yasho bhagavato amalam yena eva na tushyeta manye tad darshanam khilam. It's waste, कुछ काम का नहीं है. Let's read word to word this verse. Very important verse. Bhavata anudita prayam. Bhavata, by you. Anudita prayam. Almost not praised. Yasha, glories. Bhagavataha, the personality of Godhead. Amalam, who is spotless. Yena eva, by which certainly asau, he, that is the personality of Godhead, na tushyeta, does not be pleased. That manye, think, that tad darshanam means, darshanam doesn't mean always seeing. आपका लिखा भी वो दर्शनम कहते हैं. मन्ये tad darshanam khilam, it is inferior, it is a waste. That is why कहते हैं ना, सिर्फ भागवत पुराण उसका सप्ताह सब जगह चलते क्यों रहते हैं? भागवत पुराण का सप्ताह क्यों चलते रहते हैं? बाकी कभी ऋग्वेद का पुराण, अथर्ववेद का पढ़ाई, कभी उसका सप्ताह चलता है? नहीं चलता. मेनली यू विल सी इज भागवत पुराण, बिकॉज भागवतम इज स्पॉटलेस. एंड दैट ही इज सेइंग यू हैव नॉट एक्चुअली ब्रॉडकास्टेड द sublime and spotless glories of the personality of Godhead. You go to Skanda Puran, Skanda is great. You go to Ganesh Puran, Ganesh को as good as God depict कर दिया है. You go to Shiv Puran, they show that he is superior to even Vishnu. Any Puran you take, no, you Kurma Puran you take Linga Puran you take, any Puran you take, it will show that deity or that demigod के बारे में. जिसके वायु पुराण ले लो तो वायु भगवान को इतना पावरफुल दिखाएंगे, अरे यार you will feel he is the supreme personality of Godhead. You will feel he is the supreme personality, but actually he is not the supreme personality of Godhead. So that is why he says you are not actually broadcasted the sublime. Sublime means it is not easily catchable. फट से उड़ जाता है. Sublime, anything which is sublime उड़ जाता है. Sublime and spotless glory of the personality of Godhead. That philosophy which does not satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord is considered worthless. Next verse is equally important. Let's read the translation, purport of this, and then we'll go to the next verse. Who can read?
Can I?
No. Sweta. I'll come next to you.
The eternal relation of an individual soul with the Supreme Soul, personality of Godhead, is constitutionally one of being the eternal servitor of the eternal Master. The Lord has expanded himself as living beings in order to accept loving service from them, and this alone can satisfy both the Lord and the living beings. Such a scholar as Vyasadeva has completed many expansions of the Vedic literatures and ending with the Vedanta philosophy, but none of them have written directly glorifying the personality of Godhead. Dry philosophical speculations even on the transcendental subject of the absolute have very little attraction without directly dealing with the glorification of the Lord. The personality of Godhead is the last word in the transcendental realization. The absolute realized as impersonal, Brahmana or localized supersoul, Paramatma, is less productive of transcendental bliss than the supreme personal realization of his glories. The compiler of the Vedanta, the Darshana, is Vyasadeva himself, yet he is troubled, although he is the author. So, what sort of transcendental bliss can be derived by the readers and listeners of Vedanta, which is not explained by Vyasadeva, the author? Herein arises the necessity of explaining Vedanta Sutra in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam by the self same author.
Like Vedanta Sutra, the first Vedanta Sutra, Tato Brahma Jigyasa. But what does it of its own speak anything? Whereas when the same thing explained in the Bhagavad Gita has more weightage and understanding. So first and foremost you have to understand. Say it's like simple. We all go to see a movie. आप लोग पिक्चर देखते हो जाके देखते हो ना? अभी मुंडी हिलाने को कोई तैयार नहीं था। प्रभु जी कभी भी ट्रैप कर लेते हैं हम लोगों को, एक्साइटमेंट में आप होते थे। Okay, you go to watch a movie, but let's say you want to become happy after seeing the movie, but the producer himself of the movie is not happy. How can you enjoy it? When the producer and director of the movie himself is not satisfied, how can you get satisfaction? I still remember in my college, I've just finished my college. That was last year I think. We had that movie. कोई 5 साल चली ना? नहीं, वो सलमान खान और हम आपके हैं कौन? हाँ. So, and luckily or unluckily, I got a pass for the movie, and that too at Maratha Mandir, got a premiere show pass and all that. So, I'd gone to see the movie, and Barjatiyas were all known to one of our circle friends. Barjatiya group was known. And I came to know that Barjatiya is too tired after making the movie, and he has gone for a vacation. He has gone for a vacation. It's a fact. I was apt, oh very nice, he's having a nice vacation, a European vacation, he's too tired after making the movie. But then if you see Vyasadev's story, it's very much similar, right? He himself is not happy. No, that the movie ran for a long time, for at least 5 years in Maratha Mandir and all that. But the point what I'm trying to raise over here is, when the writer of the book himself is not happy, how can you think the readers can get full satisfaction? I'm not trying to deride the value of the Shastra. There's one beautiful understanding. You know, if you go to Vrindavan, there is one Devi Ma, very old devotee of the Lord. She is actually coming in the vanshaj of Advaita Acharya. So everyone calls her Ma. Even small, elderly people, elder to her also called her Ma. And she comes in the Advaita Acharya wishing, and she has taken sannyas under Prabhupada Saraswati group under. She has taken sannyas. And such people, God interacts and does many other leelas to them. So one day, but she used to have a habit of doing yajna. अच्छा, उस माँ का बहुत सारे जगह पे ब्रांचेस है all over India. Okay, she was a सिद्ध लेडी. तो एक दिन वो यज्ञ कर रही थी, स्वाहा करके यज्ञ कर रही थी. तो एक beautiful lady came, and she came and sat and she said, आप please यज्ञ बंद कर दो. So this lady asked, क्यों मैं बंद क्यों करूं? मतलब आप हो कौन, पहले वो तो बताओ. नहीं, आप जो यज्ञ करते हो मुझे पूरा जलन होती है, मुझे बहुत जलन होती है. तो मतलब कौन हो आप, पहले आप प्लीज़ इंट्रोड्यूस योरसेल्फ. She said, I am ब्रज रानी. रज रानी, मैं रज, जो ब्रज में जो रज है ना, उसकी रानी हूँ मैं. I am the देवी of that. And when you are doing havan ना, It is burning my back. It is burning my body. So she said, what? How come you are saying yajna is bad? Are you trying to say that Vedas are bad? Because yajna ka varnan Vedas mein aata hai. That time she says, no. In Vrindavan you don't have to do any other yajna than Harinam Sankirtan yajna. There is no other yajna required in Vrindavan. भले आपको बाकी जगहों में यज्ञ करना है करो, बट यहाँ पे यज्ञ मत करना. उस दिन से सिर्फ इन वृंदावन, बाकी उनके ब्रांचेस में यज्ञ होते हैं, अगर सिर्फ वृंदावन में उनके ब्रांच में यज्ञ नहीं होगा. द पॉइंट व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से इज these are all too subtle matters. I mean, we are too micro-minded people to understand the importance of the Vedas and the depth of the Vedas. But we have to understand that Vedas do not give the complete crux. जो व्यक्ति को समझ चाहिए भक्ति के बारे में वो नहीं देता है. That is why what if you see the entire Bhagavatam from starting to end, what is that? Is there any other topic other than Krishna? Only भगवान विष्णु या नारायण या कृष्ण के बारे में है, या उनके भक्तों की लीला विद द गॉड वही मेंशन्ड है. चाहे वो प्रहलाद महाराज की लीला हो, ध्रुव महाराज की लीला हो, या अजामिल का लीला हो, या प्रहलाद क्या बोलते चित्रकेतु महाराज का लीला हो, जड़ भरत महाराज का लीला हो, एनी लीलास. एंड द वे इट हैज़ बीन कंपाइल्ड, इफ यू सी प्रॉपरली, लोग अक्सर स्पेशली कथावाचक लोग जो जनरली करते हैं, दे डायरेक्टली सीधा स्टार्टिंग रास लीला से स्टार्ट करेंगे. रास लीला के कभी नहीं जाते हैं डायरेक्टली. इट इज गॉन लास्ट. फर्स्ट 9 कैंटोस प्रिपेयर यू. द 9 कैंटोस या 9 स्कंद जो भी कहो आप, इट प्रिपेयर्स यू टू अंडरस्टैंड द रास लीला. अगर आपको पहले 9 का समझ में नहीं आएगा, सी इज लाइक कोई बच्चा स्कूल में एडमिशन लिया और सीधा उसको उठा के 9th स्टैंडर्ड 10th स्टैंडर्ड की मैथ्स में डाल दिया, तो क्या समझ में आएगा? फर्स्ट ही हैज टू अंडरस्टैंड 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 2 = 4. ये तो समझना चाहिए उसको. ये समझने के बाद ही वो स्टेज पे जा सकते हैं. सो प्लीज सी अंडरस्टैंड दिस. दैट इज़ वाई भागवतम हैज़ बीन कंपाइल्ड इन सच ए वे दैट फर्स्ट, अभी तक हम लोग का व्हाट आर वी स्टिल, वी आर स्टिल नॉट येट स्टार्टेड द भागवतम. भागवतम एक्चुअली विल स्टार्ट फ्रॉम कैंटो 2. कैंटो 1 विल प्रिपेयर अस फॉर कैंटो 2. वी आर जस्ट गेटिंग रेडी फॉर कैंटो 2. बस कैंटो 1 इज जस्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट, अभी इसके बाद कुंती स्तुति आएगी, फिर भीष्म स्तुति आएगी, सो मेनी थिंग्स. आई नो उसके पहले अश्वत्थामा अटैक करेगा पांडवों के ऊपर, वो भी आएगा इसमें. एवरीथिंग विल कम. वो सब कैंटो 1 में ही है. So if the compiler himself is not happy, what do you think the readers will be happy? Although great sages, you have broadly described the 4 principles beginning with religious performance, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. You have not described the glories of the personality of Vasudeva. पूरा वेदास में एक ही 4 पुरुषार्थ को बहुत अच्छी से बताया गया है. धर्म, अर्थ, काम एंड मोक्ष. दीज आर द 4 पुरुषार्थ. अगर कोई वेद पढ़ा और उसमें से धर्म, अर्थ, काम, मोक्ष उसको पल्ले नहीं पढ़ा, देन इट इज मतलब क्या हुआ, वेस्ट. पूरा रामायण सुना और राम और सीता कौन है पूछ रहे. तो धर्म, अर्थ, काम, मोक्ष आर द 4 पुरुषार्थ. बट although great sage, you have very broadly described the 4 principles beginning with the religious performance. You have not described the glories of the personality, the supreme personality Vasudeva. आपने उनका personalities का अनुवर्णितः, what is the word beautifully given, न तद वासुदेवस्य महिमा ही अनुवर्णितः. उनकी महिमाओं को आपने वर्णन नहीं किया है. सो दैट इज व्हाट वी डू इन भागवतम. व्हेन वी टेक द एंटायर भागवतम, वी आर ट्राइंग टू टॉक अबाउट, अभी विश्वरूप का बात चलेगा, अभी ऑफ्टन कैंटो 2 स्टार्ट होगा, हाउ द क्रिएशन इज मेड. विश्वस्वरूप के बारे में भी बात करेंगे हम लोग इन डिटेल्स. विल अंडरस्टैंड. सो ऑल दिस विल बी डिस्कस्ड. सो हियर he is telling very clearly, you have not talked about the greatness of Glories, you are not described about the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes, who can read?
Can I?
You read.
The prompt diagnosis of Sri Narada had once declared the root cause of the despondency of Vasudeva was his deliberate avoidance of glorifying the Lord in his various editions of the Puranas. He has certainly, a matter of course, given descriptions of the glories of the Lord, Sri Krishna, but not as many as given to religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and salvation. These four items are by far inferior to engagement in the devotional service of the Lord, Sri Vasudeva. As the authorized scholar knew very well this difference, and still, instead of giving more importance to the better type of engagement, namely devotional service to the Lord, he had more or less improperly used his valuable time, and thus he was despondent. From this, it is clearly indicated that no one can be pleased substantially without being engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, this fact is clearly mentioned. After liberation, which is the last item in the line of performing religiosity, etc., one is engaged in pure devotional service. This is called the stage of self-realization, or the Brahma-bhuta stage. After attainment of this Brahma-bhuta stage, one is satisfied. But satisfaction is the beginning of transcendental bliss. One should progress by attaining neutrality and equality in the relative world and passing this stage of equanimity. One is fixed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. This is the introduction of the personality of Godhead in Bhagavad Gita. The conclusion is that in order to maintain the status quo of Brahma-bhuta stage, as also to increase a degree of transcendental realization, Narada recommended to Vasudeva that he should not. Narada recommended to Vyasadeva that he, Vyasadeva, should now eagerly and rapidly describe the path of devotional service. This would cure him from gross despondency.
So one important understanding we all should get कि अगर कोई भी भक्ति हम लोग धर्म अर्थ काम मोक्ष के हिसाब से करते हैं जिसमें ये तीन आ गया ना तो दैट मोक्ष बिकम्स कंटैमिनेटेड बिकॉज द अर्थ मीन्स व्हाट फायदा कुछ ना कुछ फायदा हेवन में जाएंगे इधर में जाएंगे यू नो मेनी पीपल फ्रॉम अदर रिलीजन्स देयर इज नो सेकेंड बर्थ अग्रीड मैंने रिलीजन से फिर जन्नत में क्या करोगे जन्नत में कौन जाने वाला है फिर जन्नत में कौन जाने वाला है सिंपल आई एम नॉट आस्किंग एनी रॉकेट साइंस क्वेश्चन इफ heaven and hell is not existing, it is existing, but you say there is no birth, then who is going to go? Who is going to go there and enjoy? So there is life after death. Death for this body, for the soul there is no death. And अगर नहीं होता ना, any religion you go, there is mention of at least heaven and hell. और हेवन एंड हेल में हमको ही जाना है जो आदमी मरता है उसी को जाना है ही कॉन्ट सेंड समवन या मेरे तो तू जाके यू कॉन्ट सेंड हेल में भी आपको ही जाना है हेवन में भी आपको ही जाना है सो प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट सो दिस ब्रह्मभूत स्टेज व्हाट एल्स यू अंडरस्टूड फ्रॉम दिस वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट वाज मेंशन्ड एनीबडी टुक फ्रॉम द क्रक्स ऑफ इट एनीबडी टुक द क्रक्स You are reading very stylishly, but you are not reading the crux of it. Who understood? क्या वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट था. आप लोग भी पढ़ा, मैं भी पढ़ा, अभी वापस ईमानदारी से पढ़ो.
So we just think that from there it is clearly indicated that no one can be pleased substantially without being engaged in devotional service of
That I explained. Nothing, something more important.
Lesson properly. This one.
Prabhuji, being blissful is the starting of.
That's the important crux. Being blissful is just the starting stage of devotion. If you all did not get any bliss, you would not be sitting in this class. अगर आप लोगों को थोड़ी भी खुशी ना मिली हो ना, तो यहाँ नहीं बैठ सकते हो आप लोग. आपका घर का सीरियल अच्छा रहता था. घर का सीरियल मतलब दो मतलब है, घर में भी सीरियल चलते हैं, टीवी में भी सीरियल चलते हैं. घर में भी सीरियल चलते हैं, टीवी में भी सीरियल चलते हैं. दोनों सीरियल में आप लोग इन्वॉल्व रहते थे. कोई पर्दे के ऊपर होता है, पर्दे के बाहर होता है, के अंदर होता है. बस इतना ही डिफरेंस है. सो प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड दैट वी ऑल आर हैविंग सम ट्रांसेंडेंटल ब्लिस. And bus, this is not the bus ho gaya, bus every Saturday I get that bliss and that's it. No, one has to progress. And what has to progress? What he has to get? First and foremost, he has to enter, and that he has to get equanimity with that world. Matlab, when you get equanimity, when you are involved in some rasa bhava with the Lord. अभी तो हम सिर्फ दूसरे का रस, ये श्री रामा का रस का भाव सुन के अरे वाह बढ़िया, अच्छा लगा, मज़ा आ रहा है. प्रहलाद जी का रस अच्छा है, अश्वत्थामा अपना ध्रुव महाराज का रस अच्छा है. एवरीवन इज एंजॉइंग इन सम रस भाव विद द लॉर्ड. तो हम भी एंजॉय करेंगे. इसका अभी तक इंस्टेंशन आया नहीं, मज़ा आ रहा है. बट देन दैट इज नॉट द एंड. यू हैव टू फर्दर गो अहेड. Getting this point? This is the most important point which Srila Prabhupada is trying to make over here. Please don't get stuck with this blissness. This bliss is nice, but you have to further progress. And then you will get, by pure devotion service, that progress is possible. Very good, Mataji. Nice. I am happy. Chalo, one last verse. Okay. Okay, this I will take next word. न यद्वाचश्चित्रपरदं हरेर यशो जगत प्रवृत्तं प्रगृता करहिचित तद्व्यासं तीर्थम उशंति मानसा न यत्र हमसा निर्मयक्षि उचिक्षया. So we'll read next time. So we have completed 9 verses. Mataji noted. We will start from the 10th verse. Okay, anybody has got any doubts and questions can ask. All are in bliss, so they will be having any doubts and questions.